Okay, we're on. So, I'll show you where I'm at, yeah?
Yeah.
So we have this model working, funny enough. And we have for ourselves, if I go HAL, loading, it's actually not that bad, like the timing of it.
So what we got? What, as in, how long it takes to load?
Yeah, it
I wouldn't worry about that right now. That's
there we go. It's a
there you go.
little bit sluggish, but there we go. Okay, so we're on, and then I go hello, and this is how long it takes.
Right. So take me through what just happened there. Where's the seconds going? Well, you know, what just happened?
I in the browser I started a new private key for a machine that represents this browser. I then started a new session that represents this tab. That session was persisted so that when I hit refresh, it comes
Ah.
back.
Sorry. That's cool.
Yeah, and then
Nice.
when I pressed enter, it pierced an action into Chainland, having come from this browser session in this machine. It then went to HAL, so it went from here. I pressed enter.
Yep.
It did a special initialization trick at the start, which was, hey HAL, create me an actor and my first session.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went straight from here into the HAL session. The HAL session then made an AI call out to OpenAI to get the result, and then came back and displayed it here. So this is the session file that's being read from this session.
Brilliant. And where's it pulling the system prompt from, or is it?
It's
Or is it just
pulling
a
this.
pair?
It pulled the sys prompt out of when the cloud version was installed, which was a couple of hours ago. It cloned this repo and it pulled the sys prompt out of this file.
Goalie, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's why I need a format change from you, because I started trying to put HAL 0.2 in there, but I realized that the way I had structured it as JSON didn't fit. Like you'd been writing in Markdown, and I believe you get good results from Markdown, but I was expecting JSON, which is an incompatible text format, and so I think I need to change to this format, which is a special kind of Markdown that has this thing called front matter at the top, where front matter is a standard YAML or YML markup to let me have the extra annotated information that I need to execute the help. For example, files is the isolate. Like I want to make some commands available to this help. I can't just give it all of them.
Yep. Yep.
So in this block of text says that I'm taking the files isolate and making these functions within the files isolate available to the help. As well, I'm taking the utils isolate and making the relay function available to the help. I have provision here for being able to add some examples or some tests, but that may be separated out into different files. You know, we can iterate this format, but it's pretty clear to me that I at least need to give you pure Markdown as the way that you enter the sys prompt. Am I correct?
Yes. We could back up into doing a sysprompt in JSON.
No, it sucks, dude. It actually,
Because you
it's.
then need to teach the bot about what you mean
Well, no.
by description and so on.
So what I'm doing is I take the JSON, like for example, I take the JSON and turn it into pure text in the way that I've got it now. So the bot never has to actually understand JSON, because like in the goalie, I strip out the instructions and I turn them into a single piece of text, and then that's the sysprompt. None of this other stuff is seen, but it's a pain to read, especially if you want to, like, in the way that you've done your formatting. You should be able to do nice formatting like numbered lists and indentation without an issue, but that's actually a giant pain in JSON, because like a new line is even a real bitch. It's just not made for that.
Yeah. Now the maybe a slight confuser here is if we're talking about a hunk of data, then remember saying that it really helps to put in a description for every field and keep repeating that.
Yeah.
So when it comes up.
Yeah, but that's data. That's not a help.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And the description, we can. The description is machine generated, and machine. The description is primarily machine oriented, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it's all generated from
and
context.
it's usually quite short as well, right? Like it's never really, like this is a bit of an essay, but the description in the JSON, I'm hoping, is quite compact in comparison.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we go. I mean,
yeah.
So what I'll do then, provided you're okay with it, is I'll switch to this format, which represents front matter formatted Markdown. Yeah, is that cool?
This is a new thing to me, but it seems basically what you're saying is there are a number of isolates. This is very like Crew AI, the way they've done it.
Right.
There's a number of isolates available to the bot. The bot can decide to run these.
Yeah. So I mean, the other way we could do it is separate out the file, so that the sysprompt is a separate file, and then like the config that you're going to run it with is a separate file, and all that. I just thought that front matter seemed.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessary, because what we're wanting in a help is the whole sysprompt thing. Here's what you can do, and here's your tools to do it.
Right, but keep in mind that I'm going to process this, and I'm going to tear this file apart so that the bot won't see any of this. This will be stripped out.
Yeah, but if I were to run a session, for example, on hello.dreamcatcher.land there, with this sysprompt, and I say write this file or something along those lines, it will know what I'm talking about, and some kind of action will happen.
You mean write this formatted file?
No. The way I'm reading this, these commands, say if I want to write something.
Yeah.
Then
so when I load this sysprompt, in you can please stop me if I'm being too detailed about this, but when you're in the playground here, and I go into assistant. Functions is something that you never really have when you're in your playground sessions, but
right, there's nowhere to write.
So what I do is I process this file and I turn these the isolates that these reference. I turn that into functions that get attached here.
I see what you're saying. Right.
So the sysprompt never sees the front matter because I strip it off, but the bot is made aware that in the functions tool, it has these tools available. These tools also have their own descriptions and formats. Like they have a defined OpenAI function calling format, and I dig that up out of the isolates.
Yeah. No, that's cool. No, that's
okay.
fine.
Okay.
The other thing is, this might be a trivial point, but when I'm on 4.0, I get really bad results if I don't put the tokens up to max. So
what am I doing there? I think the tokens are unlimited by default when I make my calls out of the API. So I'll play with that. I'll keep that in mind, but I'll play with that.
Well, it's really easy to find because you ask it something quite simple and then it just stops about a third of the way in. It's like,
right. Yeah. Okay. So I also I'll if we see that happen, I'll dig into it, because when in the API response that comes back, I get an extra field called stop reason, and it will say why it stopped, why the request is complete each time. So we'll be able to pick that up very quickly. Yeah. Okay. So that's the plan, and that's how that's going to work. And then when you go to write these prompts, we'll sort of have to figure out how we're going to tell the bot to assemble this piece.
Yep.
But that's a place to start. It's a start for 10 anyway, right?
Okay, so if I were to, for example, use the screen that you were on with HAL dot.
This one over here, yep.
Yeah, so this is V02 for HAL, right? So if I wanted to get the planner in there, or is it V02?
No. Right now, this is because I didn't want to do the format conversion until I'd spoken to you about it. This is still running the old version, the goalie. That's all that's running.
Right. Okay. So what would be great is, so I'm going to be using V02. Well, I currently am, in order to seed up and reproduce everything that we've had before, and that's going to generate a number of other bots. So how do I spin up a bot? As in, where do I go in order to put the sys prompt, and what do I do with the isolates that's available? Do I just cut and paste from previous and then put in a MD sys prompt in order to get a planner, for example?
Fuck. So what do you want to do? You want to have a bot?
Yeah,
make another bot.
Create a new bot called Planner, which I've got a sys prompt for.
Okay. So I imagine that what we need is. Let me just roll back a level. Are we still dealing with the helps and the goal finder? Because that was how we were previously planning on dealing with this. Is that yes, so? You'd go, you'd say, I want to make a bot, and then it would find the bot maker help, and then it would load that and run it.
Yes, that's progressed since we did the goalie on the intents. So that's effectively the goalie has turned into HAL 02, where
okay. But then how does it do I need to give that HAL access to the library of helps that it has available to do different things?
That would be awesome.
So yes?
Yes. That
all right, so awesome. Okay, so what I'm doing then is I'm going to...
Sorry, that's also a general purpose thing, because what would be great is, the dispatch bot's more actually important. Having dispatch bot know which drones it has available to call.
But is a drone and a help the same thing, or is a help a way to create a drone?
A drone is effectively a help.
A drone is a help. Okay. Yeah. And dispatch is the dispatch bot basically has a library of helps, and then when it calls one, that's when it makes it into a drone, because it's a process that kicks off using that help. right?
Yeah, yeah. So the dispatch bot knows the structure of the data you're working on,
Yep.
and infers from the the plan which has been
Yep.
given to it, four
Yep.
steps in the plan, saying, okay, this plan needs this drone or this help.
Yep.
Maybe I should stop using drone actually.
Drone's a great word though. Drone's a great word. It's just that
yeah, I kind of started using that. I don't know why.
Yeah, but it defines very well what's happening. Like it's a bot that's running that has a session going that's doing some stuff that is not intended to interact with the user. That's a drone.
Yeah, exactly.
But the help feels like the programming for it. So let me ask you a subtle question. At any point, do you expect to be able to have the helps get subtly modified before being run as a drone?
Subtly modified before it gets...
So we got these helps, right? These helps are sitting as files. Are you ever expecting the help to be malleable, like the help to get processed by the dispatch bot, rewritten or injected with something before it runs? No?
No.
Okay, so why not?
I think there's a mode where you go up one, which is like the admin mode, as opposed to...
right, so what you're really saying is that you've determined that there's a very distinct boundary between being able to modify the helps versus being able to execute the helps, and that modification of helps is a potentially dangerous and system stability damaging thing.
And then you want a whole bunch of, that very expensive kind of God test to make sure the whole thing is coherent still.
Right, so helps, okay, so we purposely want to impede people from modifying the helps or mutating the helps because the helps represent well-tested, repeatable, reliable, and secure pieces of natural language code.
Right. Yep. And maybe the subtlety is that if you're in use mode and a help creates an error, can't do what you're doing, then that chunks it up. Then now you've got stuck. Now that's stuck. It's not an in-session thing.
Right. That's out of band. It's out of session. Yeah. And then you can call on other helps, or you can just pick another task in your meaningful life to go do. Okay. All right. So your question is, how do I make a bot? So I'm going to replace the goalie with Hal v2. Hal v2 is going to determine your intent, and then Hal v2 is going to select from a range of helps that it has available, or is that the dispatch bot?
Hal v2 really is there is a bit of it kicks off. It should be able to select and be able to kick off another bot. So, for example, it can be talking to Hal v2 at a kind of higher level, a more vague level, because trying to get the intent. I use Hal v2 in order to create bots, so it is essentially the admin level. The way I'm using it now, when it's actually at the use level, I'm in the planning bot, and I talk to the planner.
Okay. That's funky. So at some point you want this interface to drop down to user level, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so when I create a bot, I'll take you through. So I'll try and be a bit more coherent about it. So the work I'm doing at the moment is to try and build this entire thing just from seed. The way I would do that is I would talk to Hal and generate the data structure, and I'd want how to get my intent on that one, because it's quite important, and intent takes a lot more prompts in order to get it precise, and then generate that and save that off. Great. And maybe I'll talk to him about planning bot, and it's like, okay, now you've got a new bot, save that off. Then
so when you're making a bot, you're effectively making a help.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
I'm using Hal to make that help.
You are using Hal to make the bot. Now tell me about when you want to engage the bot or use it. Does Hal call the bot? Hal seems specialized. Hal is special at making bots.
Well, HAL is it's not specialized. HAL is actually completely general because all it's trying to do is discern your intent, and you can ask HAL to do anything.
Right. So, but intent discernment is not. You had a typo in your sysprompt there too, by the way.
Right.
Believe.
Yeah. Well, I found it's very forgiving of typos.
Yeah, but you should help it.
You should never have it.
It's important to
but
speak.
When I go into the runtime, when the very first bot I talked to when we've been doing the demos around using the CRM, the first bot I'm using is Planner. However, HAL created the Planner.
HAL created the Planner. All right, so this is the see there, you spelled that wrong. Sloppy. Clearly not written by a bot.
I can't remember when this was written actually, but yes, probably.
Okay, so HAL. Let's just so I can get my head around the way that the user interface is going to go. I just want to crudely box HAL v2 as the bot maker, or the help maker. Yeah. Okay, and then you interact with HAL and you're like, blah, 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 here's a bot. And then at some point, you want to do a switch and you want to use a bot instead of make a bot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's imagine that we're there right now.
Mm-hmm.
What would I type to start using one of the Planner bot or any bot that I just made? How would I do that?
I would say something along like to switch to Planner bot.
So I'd like to switch to Planner bot. Like that?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Obviously.
Well, Planner bot. That doesn't make any difference.
Right. Okay, so I go, I'd like to switch to Planner bot, and then what do you want to happen?
Then what ideally would be, there would now be another tab.
Another tab, like up here, like in the browsers?
That's my preference. I don't know if it's the best thing or you want.
Oh, you wanna open a whole new fucking window. You wanna go.
That'd be my prep. Well, actually, this is what I've been doing, which is okay. So now we've got the Planner bot. Then let's switch an entire new one. Now the reason is, I want to be able to go back to HAL and say, right, here's what the Planner bot did. That's not right, man. Here's why. Can you rewrite the
so you'd want to open a new tab, and you're like, this is the Planner bot, and I'd say, hello, Planner bot. I have discovered a stain in my underwear. Can you help me remove it?
Right. And then it will come back saying, here's how to get stains out of your bra. It's like, back to HAL. Sorry, I never mentioned it's only for men, right? It's like, okay, here's a new Planner bot.
Identify the type of stain. Execute the stain removal method. Okay, so I'm like, okay. Then I'm like, hey HAL, list all my sessions. Oh, look, see in the session there that's talking about stains, that response was wrong. Like that? That's what you want to be able to do?
Yeah. And then it would say, okay, let's work on what's wrong. And it's like, well, I want it to only talk about men's underwear.
Right.
And what I'd expect is HAL would then produce the V2 of Planner bot saying, okay, we've got that. And then I would switch to the session of the Planner bot, and I'd say exactly the same thing, and it would get it right this time.
So you'd make some tweaks and changes here, and it would modify the Planner bot, and then you'd flick back to here, and what would you expect to see? There's a little notification that says,
"Yep, you're now
bot
on the new
updated version XYZ."
Yep. And you've forgotten everything that's happened. So we're starting again with the new version, and probably when I was creating the bots, give it exactly the same prompt and see if it got it right. And if it got it right, that's great. I continue to test. As soon as it did something wrong, I'll go back up to HAL saying, Planner bot is
back up. So you'd come back over to this one, and you'd say, Planner bot is kind of getting close, but it's not being strong enough with the stain removal.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, and then you'd update it again, and then silently in the background, you're expecting like another, like if I put the help version down here, it's like version X, version 9, version exactly. 10.
And what I quite often do is get how to help create a bot, run the bot, and then take the entire session back to Hal and saying, this is the session, here's what it said, and here's what it should have said. Can you rewrite the prompt? And I'm going, yeah, okay. And that's where the cut and paste goes in. Cut and paste.
Right, again. But here you'd be able to say, list all my current running sessions. Okay,
that would be really helpful.
And then it's like, okay, here's all your sessions, and then you're like, see that one with the blah 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 blah. Let's work on that, right? And then it sort of brings that into focus. Yeah. Okay, and then so, motherfucker. So, all right. So there's a help here. So how about fuck. So you opened a new session, and that session somehow knew to start as PlannerBot. So that means that I probably need to put something like a hash fragment that says help equals PlannerBot.
That would be enough. If Hal just gave me, right, we've deployed this bot, and there's a URL, I'll just open another tab, paste it in. What would be helpful is, again, getting away from the cut and paste, is Hal was aware of what the PlannerBot session was, and I'd go back and saying, you see that session? Nah, that wasn't right. Here's what.
Yeah. So one of the functions in Hal is list sessions, and so that lists all of the sessions that are available for Hal. And that would mean that while you're in the help maker,
mm-hmm.
you would be able to pick the help maker is specially tooled to be able to identify sessions, dissect sessions, bring in other tools to bear on using those sessions to be able to upgrade or mutate the help files that the system uses.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
okay.
Let me run through that just to see if we're in sync. So, I'm trying to build a new PlannerBot. I'm using Hal, intent, all good stuff, boom, boom, and it'll come up with sysprompt, and you say, okay, so the PlannerBot is now available here. Great. Let's open up a new tab and start to talk to it. Then go back to Hal saying, I've just been talking to PlannerBot, and you got this wrong. And it's like, okay, right, here's a new version. Go back to the same tab. It's like, now that tab is running the PlannerBot still, but the next version.
Yeah. Right. So then it would so you'd have help equals PlannerBot and version equals 1, and then when you upgrade it, you want to see that go to version 2, version 3, right? So that's showing you that in the background, the bot or the session prompt is being modified, even though the contents of the session is still staying the same, right?
Yes. What would be ideal to avoid confusion, because some of these sessions or these loops can get quite long. What I usually do is reset the session completely.
Okay, so over here, when you list all the current running sessions, you could turn around and say, I want to delete session 3, and then it's like, bang, that's gone. And if this was session 3, then you would see it go back to blank. It would still stay help equals PlannerBot and version equals 3, but the session history would have been wiped and it's now fresh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
would you want a command that said, I want to switch to using the help maker bot? So here, I'm in the PlannerBot, help equals PlannerBot, version equals 3, and I've said I want to switch to the help maker bot. Would you ever want to cause that to now this becomes that tab, or has the help maker?
That's a preference thing. My preference is no.
So you want this sandboxed? So basically,
yeah.
When you're running like this, you are fully constrained to be only what that help can do. And
yes,
right.
But
and
that's the way that works for me. That might not be the best way or how other people.
Look, let's just go with that. I mean, because that does not preclude making a help file that has the ability to switch the help file mid-session. Right? That just all it requires though is that the help file has that built in.
Yes, but I'm still not convinced of in the system prompt. It's quite difficult to get it to actually forget everything we've just been talking about.
No, I can do that because what I can do is I can make, for example, a help file that is given a function that's called reset my session. And then when the bot calls it, it deletes the session and now it's completely gone.
Oh, that would be helpful. So, yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to massage our brains into thinking into consensus here. So it makes sense to me that I can switch the help out from within the session only if the help is empowered to do that. That sounds fair enough.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It also seems fair enough that if the help is so enabled, I can within the session reset the whole session, but I can definitely, if I'm using the help maker, I can definitely manipulate the sessions and wipe them from this privileged admin view.
So let's think about this. So what would be even inside of say a PlannerBot session?
Yeah.
Sometimes I just make a mistake.
Right.
And if I make a mistake, I don't trust that. You can go back and delete and so on. But I've seen times where it really gets confused. So inside of any bot, saying reset is going to be really helpful. Because
right, but that would so you're asking for that to be available to every bot?
Yeah, I think so.
But so there's a default bot template, and unless you explicitly disallow it, they come with the ability to do some basic session manipulation commands like wipe the session, new session.
Otherwise, it's about 7 steps. I need to refresh the tab. I need to put the tokens up. I need to go back and get.
But in this system, to do that exact thing, all you would do is you'd highlight the address bar and go like that, and that's all you got to do. And now you got a new session with the PlannerBot version 3, but no session history.
Right, but with the sysprompt in place.
Sysprompt in place, yeah. Because I'm storing it based on tab. So if I hit refresh, I know that it's the same tab, and that's why I restore that session history. But over here, it's a whole nother one. So it's got its own unique history. Because what happened is when I made that new tab, I made like S3 or the other. It made a new HAL session when that tab opened, and it does that for every new tab.
That'd be okay, right? Yeah, that would be quite useful.
Right.
And what I'd draw from that is depending on what the URL URI ends up looking at, I could simply save that to a notebook and saying that was how at 4 p.m. last night, now 4 a.m., and I want to respin it. we can just click on that and we get back to where we are.
Well, you could say list all the sessions. You'd see all the sessions, and you could say, I want to be that session, and that would either open you as a new window. Here's what I'll do for you. You could say open session S3 in the current tab. And if I do that, it'll replace this whole session now with this. But and it will have whatever history was in that session, right? So that's one option. And the second option is I want to open session S3 in a new tab. And then when I do that, that'll kick open a new window with the saved history and blah, blah, right?
Yep, good for both of those.
Okay.
I'll add in one other thing, is if it was your previous one, I now want to deal with session S3.
Yeah.
And then it's functionally equivalent to opening a new tab, but you're not in a new tab.
So it replaced the current tab as though I'd opened a new tab and deleted the current one.
Yeah. What I'd want to do is to be able to, inside of that new tab, regardless of the bot, call another bot. So, for example,
so you're talking about, now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of it, which is the multi-agent system, right? So you're wanting to, so whichever tab you open, this says what the controlling help file, what the top level help file is for this session, and it can allow it to call other bots below it that get presented in a multi-threaded view arbitrarily deep, right?
Yeah, and also to be able to revert back up.
I'm
done with that. Planner, I want to go talk to Hal now, or session 1, or how we do it. So, I can go down, and then it's like, right, done, up. And
right, yeah. So how I imagine that being is
this is fun. This is getting to feel meat into veg.
Told you I'd fucking come through for you, buddy. It just took a while. It just took a hell of a while. Okay, so what I'd imagine it would look like is it will start to look like this this graph where these are the threads, and then it's like the nested bots, you can see them running as deeper and deeper threads.
Yeah.
Is what I imagine it is.
Right. Okay. So yes, that would be okay. So
sounds like
can you flip
we
back to that diagram?
I'll bring you up a better quality one that's got more diversity to it. Here we go. So now hold on right there. So there's a good example where it gets kind of heavy, right?
Yeah. Okay, so take the job I've got on at the moment, which is to build a new CRM from seed. So I'll be talking to Hal, and then it's like Hal produces Planner. It's like, okay, so because I'm in the kind of God admin road, I would then go into Planner and be able to talk to Planner, and then flip back up to Hal, and Hal would know what Planner just done.
Okay, so this is okay. So you're in one tab. You've been in the same tab the whole time.
Yeah. So this is to be more specific. This is in the architecture job as opposed to the use job. So, or on mode.
Right. So you're asking for some tooling that makes the process of tweaking, developing, and iteratively improving a help easier.
Yeah. And you can jump down arbitrarily. So say if Planner goes to dispatch dispatches 3 simultaneous drones.
Okay, so in blue in blue here, blue would be Hal, and then Hal would go. Sorry, I don't. It's not That's not what I wanted. Goddamn. So you'd go, Hal makes planner. You begin acting as planner, and you're like planner, and then planner goes dispatch, blah 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 blah, back to planner, and then back to Hal.
Yes, the reason is so one of the real buggers of trying to use Multibot to generate a Multibot system is what you want to do is to generate the next bot, then go be able to see exactly what it is, because otherwise, if it's obfuscated, if something goes wrong, if one drone just gets it completely wrong,
right?
What you want to do is to be able to drop it into that drone and go, well, I can see what was wrong there. Drop all the way back up to Hal, saying the sysprompt for this drone.
Ooh.
And
okay, so what you'd really like to be able to do is to sit there at the Hal level, look at the carnage of drones interacting, point to a specific one and say, Hal, I want to, let's focus on that. I need to modify that. It didn't work because this, and this. And then Hal would rewrite that help, and then you'd say rerun.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. And then it reruns it, and you're like, that's better, that's worse. And then Hal's like, okay, cool. And then what? You just carry on poking at the system, right?
Yeah. Because
okay, where did that record of hey, that's not good enough? Where would you expect that to be stored?
In the Hal session.
In the Hal session, what happens to it when you start a new Hal session?
I'd hope to be able to have. Here's the point. Above Hal, there's like Hal.
Here we go.
I'm now talking to you about this. I'm building a CRM, and it's like fresh Hal.
Okay. So
and all it knows is, is this prompt.
I think that I don't know how to add it in right now, so we'll need to park it until we got these first few features up. But I think the feature you're asking for is that Hal is, whenever you add a correction, Hal is maintaining a higher level list of rules about the system that indicate your preferences and your feedback on the behavior of the system. And it's always drawing on that whenever it does new things or assesses new things, right? Because otherwise, your valuable input on, hey, I don't like that, is just lost. It's like it's buried in session history, and it's not really extracted out and permanently stored somewhere.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. The analogy is if you're writing code, it's like you'd want to be able to trace the code,
Right. Yeah, right.
It's like trace. That part was wrong. Everything else is fine.
Okay.
Right, back up to Hal. Let's fix that bit.
How about this then? When you make the change to the help, the commit stores the reason why the help was changed, or in a file nearby to the help, the rules, or even in that front matter piece, the rules that govern the behavior. And I can even put in a reference to the git commit that was the failed example, can be stored there so that you can recreate, you can have this growing
I've got
knowledge.
A great example of that, actually, if it's helpful. The way of doing it by hand. Just next. Says I've got a great example, but I've got a whole bunch of stuff on the screen that I probably don't want to show. Mostly checking out how the Ukrainians are doing.
Man, I feel sorry for them.
Where is it? There you go. All right. Okay, so if you look at Plannerbot, a lot of it is to do with rules. So, right, you're always. Now, this is the sort of thing that, this is not how, but this is like, each of these is something that it's got wrong, and I've had to specify it. So, permissions, rules must be followed to, oh, sorry, these are the, sorry.
I was like,
that's the wrong bit. That's the wrong bit. That's the wrong bit. Okay. Obviously. Right. Here's a rule. Okay. And that sort of thing is specific to this planner bot. I require you to do this. Now, the reason I've said, I've specified I require you to do this is because I've had a previous bot that's not done that, and so I've gone back to the prompt.
Right. Yeah, so this is what I mean, right? Like, I would have no idea that that's the reason for this. So it's killed the source.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we need to store that, and let me just have a poke around whether it's easier to do that in the Git history, or if it's easier to maintain a file nearby to the help that lists out the rules, or even stores the rules inside the help file in that front matter piece.
Yeah, so long as when the a new session of a planner bot is spun up,
yeah,
it's got these rules in the sysprompt effectively. So here's a better example. Okay,
yeah.
so
Well, the sysprompt is the sysprompt. It's not dynamically generated.
Well, yes, but
the rules need to reflect it.
You could say retrieve this set of rules. You must always follow these rules.
Oh, what? That's new. How do you? What? Why would you not? Why would you not have the same rules all the time?
Well, here's an example, right? With PlannerBot, I'm saying always produce a JSON response, and in your response, each action must include two parts: the action to be carried out and the data to return. And that's a very powerful way of making sure that when the PlannerBot passes down its output, the next bot understands it. But that might not be always useful.
When is that not useful?
Because
to PlannerBot, like when would PlannerBot need to not do that?
Oh no, PlannerBot always needs to do that. That's the point.
Okay,
but Drone doesn't necessarily need to do that because it's not asking anyone else to do anything. It's just returning.
Yeah, so that just means that the sysprompt for that drone is different to the sysprompt to the PlannerBot.
Yeah. So sorry, I thought you were saying split out these rules into another area. So
no. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So split them out into a separate file, but with a one-to-one mapping between the help files, so that it's basically the blueprint or the backstage instructions on how the help was made, but it's specific to that help.
Oh, all right. Okay. Oh, yeah.
I did not mean a merged file for all helps. I just meant that the construction of a help may require more files than just the help itself in order to track the provenance of it and the rules and tests that went into certifying that help as being fit for purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So long as when, in this case, a PlannerBot, when it's spun up, knows that this is a rule that it must always follow. And also a rule is just an inverse of a test, right?
Well, yeah, so the rule would be in the actual sysprompt itself, but a more detailed version of that rule would be in the test file along with an example of how to test it, as well as a link to the commit that
That's nice.
Error caused, right? So you can always do what's called regression testing, where you make a change and then you pull up all of the sessions that you identified as being broken because they're referenced within this file, and you can rerun them to make sure that they still get a good passing result.
Yes, good.
Right, and that's how you start to expand your system reliability, because regressions are, they're just a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah, and also I found sysprompts do need examples, but I think I was saying this yesterday, the thing that was the day before caused a few hours of pain was my example was actually out of date.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, the example's great and all that, but really, what you want to be doing is making the sys prompt as small as possible to also pass all the tests and all the regression scenarios that were stored. And if you can keep compacting that prompt down smaller and smaller and smaller, the better it's going to be, right? So
exactly. Yeah. So the examples at the sys prompt should be very bare.
Right, and that'd be only that'd be only strictly necessary if the GPT-4o determined that without that example you can't get a good result in all of the tests. That's the only time you need that. So I'm trying to get us away from this sort of artisan way of hand assembling and tuning the prompts and get into a machine-like place where it's 4.0 that's crushing down the prompts to be the minimum required to pass the test. And if it's not doing what you wanted, that means that you need to declare the test, because that's the issue I see when I watch any programmer at work, is that they're like, yeah, it works. And you're like, well, okay, if I take this bit out, does it still work? Like it's implied programming. Whereas what we need to get to is the only thing the human should be putting in is the I don't like that and why. And yes, that's a good result. The human should ultimately not be making the prompt. The prompt should be so fucking compact. Like, I wouldn't even care if the prompt was pure vector, indiscernible to a human, so long as all the human tests passed.
So I like this a lot. So in this case, I put in the reason this is in is because I want a consistent visit planner.
Right.
It needs to consistently move information to dispatch. Dispatch needs to consistently move information to the drones and back and forth. And this is as parsimonious as get it. However, it failed, and so it's like, for example, this one, each action includes 2 parts. That would be a test. And presumably at the runtime, you would run the test, and the test would come back saying no, and would generate the next response for the thing that failed, and usually it gets it right. So then this limit we're talking about, let's test 3 times and then put an error up, and there's something more vague going on.
Right.
So yeah, I like that.
Okay.
So yeah, so this rule and the examples are in the tests and not in the sys prompt of the bot itself.
Yeah.
And that means you can, when you're writing it, all you need to do as a human saying, nah, that's not working. And it generates a test, and that test advises the parsimonious bot sys prompt saying, no, that's not the right way. Do it this way instead.
Okay, all right. So that's a goal for us to get to. I'll need some time to figure out that file format and how to manage it correctly, because there's a lot of intelligence needs to go into that file, and it needs to interact deeply with Artifact in order to reference the exact session commit that is used as the example. So I'll just need to ponder that a bit. But for now, I got to go in 3 minutes. But for now, this is looking like an acceptable user interface to you, right? Where any given version of HAL is driven by a specific help. That help can switch itself in and out or not. And moreover, HAL, being a special type of help, has the power, is enabled to view all the sessions and manipulate the sessions and sort of like pop in and pop out of the sessions, and maybe even drive them from afar. So drive them as one level down, where you're like, hey, HAL, run the tests. And it's like, bing, ding, 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 ding. or something like that, right?
Yeah, but what would be great is, for example, up at the how one of the bots is misbehaving,
right?
And you're talking to how saying, okay, I don't really know what I need to do here, but this is the sort of thing. Can you generate like 3 versions, model them, come back, and I'll say which is the good one.
Yeah, okay. I can't see quite how to do that just yet. So what I'll do is I'll make this interface that lets you switch the help in and out and upgrade the version. And then I will come back to you once I've got HAL v2 running on the main site, and then we'll have another fucking pop at, what's this, what's that.
Yeah, cool. And what I'll do is I'll continue with the seeding just about 11. But I'll pull out one of these narratives, when I just copy and paste, here's what happened, here's what I thought should have happened, and so on. And you see what I'm doing. Effectively, with the tabs, we're getting away from the cut and paste. Oh, just before you go, there is one other piece where when a bot is spun up, the bot can be general purpose, but sometimes it needs a data payload. So, for example, a JSON Shearer bot is a general purpose.
Bot. Data format. Yeah. Okay. Can you? I'll be back online in about an hour. Do you want to? We'll carry this on because I forgot about data format, because there's a lot of data retrieval going on in your tracer bullets. So I need to just check with you how you expect that to be presented in this interface. And then I think I'll have enough to crunch on for a day or two.
Cool. Give us a ping.
Okay, sweet as. I'll speak soon.
Nice one. See you, man.
Bye.